been waiting all week for that Saturday show. Tune in, see what happened, let your troubles go. Work real hard, now it's time to take it slow. Kick back and relax with that Saturday show.
Happy 37th anniversary! You still look 21.
Good morning, Albuquerque, and welcome to another edition of That Saturday Show, brought to you by the Albuquerque Center for Peace and Justice. We're looking at my favorite time of the year, autumn, where colors get vibrant, temperatures get cooler, and my summer garden makes some serious changes with the season. Mayoral election season gets even hotter, with our fascist sheriff having to rely on private funding for his campaign. I wonder where he's going to get the money from that he needs in order to run a campaign. Our public schools continue to struggle with challenges of violence, and the response is just plain out of touch. Highlights from International Day of Peace and lots more coming up. But first, let me get this off my chest. Haitian refugees fleeing earthquakes, COVID, government murder and corruption showed up at our southern border looking for help, only to be greeted by a bunch of cowboys on horseback calling themselves federal agents. They chased the Haitians down with whips and ropes while on these horses and corralled them like you would cattle. Meanwhile, the government has deported thousands of Haitians back to Haiti and all that misery and danger in just a few days. They didn't treat the Afghan refugees like this, and they shouldn't. They never treated Cubans like this, and they shouldn't. But there is a long and ugly history of maltreatment of Haitian refugees like no other group of people who have come knocking on this country's door looking for a better opportunity at a better life. I don't know about you, but I smell plain old-fashioned racism. And the heartbreak is that the Biden administration, the people who we were counting on to be different, to be better, are using Trump-era legislation to deport our black brothers and sisters. Something not happening to anyone else. Y'all better get it together or you won't find us at the polls in 22. So Scott Elder, the newly appointed school superintendent for Albuquerque Public Schools, just put out a letter to the public discussing student behavior. He did a good job of laying out the challenges that students both present and face in the current environment. But he has totally missed the boat when it comes to suggesting solutions. Instead, he wasted ink on talking about the role that APS police play in enforcement, what he should have done, and how he missed what I think was intentional was any suggestions that could slow down the flow of the school to prison pipeline by teaching children about conflict mediation and engaging them in restorative justice services where they could learn how to avoid the dire and often unnecessary consequences of juvenile detention, of violent deaths, of other kinds of clashes that make getting an education next to impossible. Our educators need to be about the business of saving lives and saving futures. APS is out of touch with truth and reality. Oh my goodness. The poor police department in Albuquerque is losing officers at record levels, they say. Sound the alarm, and let's figure out what's going on here. When you ask many officers, and especially those carrying the union line, they all blame it on the DOJ, the Department of Justice, and the consent decree. I strongly suggest that they need to stop that phony crap and stop it now. You all know you're lying. Sure, some police officers are complaining about being written up for minor and unimportant policy violations. But most have nothing to do with engaging in public safety. Place the blame where it deservedly belongs, on bad cops and those who want to return to the days of raining terror down on poor people and on Black people and on brown people in this town. Do your policing the right way and set examples modeling law-abiding protection and services, and maybe, just maybe, things will get a little better. Finally, we're still on soccer watch, soccer stadium watch here, where the owner of the United could pay for the stadium out of his own pocket and never miss the money. Instead, he wants the people of this town to foot the lion's share of the bill, upwards of $70 million, according to recent reports. The city leaders have decided, and I'm sure that this is a law, to put it to a vote in November. And while I don't believe we need another stadium, if one gets approved, my challenge to the mayor and the city council is to use this as an opportunity to support real community revitalization. What am I talking about? Build the thing in the International District. It will attract new businesses, add to the development of the community, and must offer employment opportunities for local residents there. Time to talk about community revitalization has got to become a lot more than just talk. We just can't keep talking about these things and not making anything happen. I just had to get that off my chest. I'm Jim Harvey.
Thank you, and welcome to Good News News. I'm your correspondent, Hassani Olujimi, and I'm Gugu for Good News. The goal of this segment is to inspire and uplift you, the viewer, with nothing but good news. Let's jump right in, shall we? Our first story reads like this. California lawmakers moved last Thursday to allow the return of prime beachfront property to the descendants of a Black couple who were stripped of their resort for African Americans amid racist harassment a century ago. Let's learn a little bit more, shall we? What was known as Bruce's Beach in the city of Manhattan Beach was purchased in 1912 by Willa and Charles Bruce. They built the first West Coast resort for Black people during an era when racial segregation barred them from many beaches. The couple built a lodge, cafe, dance hall, and dressing tents with bathing suits to rent. Not in 2021, no ma'am. But let's move along. Descendants of Bruce's Beach could get Manhattan Beach land back under a proposed state law. LA County leaders moved forward with returning Bruce's Beach to the family. It will take the state law that legislators sent to Governor Newsom last Thursday to transfer the property to the couple's descendants. This bill will finally do the right thing to undo a wrong committed by the city of Manhattan Beach, aided by the state and county, said Democratic Senator Bradford. It represents economic historic justice and is a model of what reparations can truly look like. Now, isn't that good news? All right, that is wonderful news. Now, why is the beach so confident? Because it's 100% sure. I said it and I meant it. I said what I said. Let's move on to our next story. Doberman nurses abandoned newborn kitten. A Doberman in New York has adopted an abandoned kitten. Brittany Callan of New York recently found a newborn abandoned kitten at her husband's work site. To give it a chance of survival, Brittany knew just what to do. She took the tiny baby home to one of her dogs who recently had puppies. Ruby, the Doberman, has taken care of baby bunnies, guinea pigs, chickens, and ducks. Brittany first introduced the kitten to the large dog by holding the tiny baby in her hands to let the dog smell the baby. That's when the mothering instinct kicked in and Ruby started cleaning the kitten. As soon as Brittany set the kitten down, now named Rambling Rose, next to Ruby, the baby started nursing. Not only is Ruby feeding Rambling Rose, but she's also treating her as if she's one of her own puppies, picking up the kitten by the scruff of the neck to move her right in front of her. The kitten also likes to cuddle with its step siblings. Now, isn't that good news? Go ahead, Ruby. I love the instinct. Now, here's a clip of the mom and baby napping. Now, speaking of extended family, here's a funny clip with the kitten in mind getting shocking news.
No easy way to say this, buddy. You're adopted.
Well, as we always say, the best way to turn a frown upside down is to get goo-goo for good news. I'm your correspondent, Hassani Olujimi, and I'll see you right here next time on That Saturday Show with more good news.
Ever wanted to do more for social justice and other major issues in Albuquerque, New Mexico? If so, then the Center for Peace and Justice is just for you. Devoted to bringing true-centered discussions about critical social justice issues in our state, globally, through various means and actions, we provide a positive attitude in everything we do. We offer incredible opportunities to those who want to join our team to learn important skills that are needed to run a nonprofit organization. Please be a member or volunteer, or have your group join us. There's space for everyone who's interested in what we do here at the Peace Center. For more information, call us at 505-268-9557. Go to our website at abqpeaceandjustice.org or email us at www.abqpeaceandjustice.org. Thank you.
Welcome back to That Saturday Show. I'm Jim Harvey, your host, and today we are in the studio with Kabu MB2, world-renowned artist, and to be invited into his studio is all by itself quite an honor. Kabu, welcome, and thank you for taking this time to share with us today. So my first question to you is, how did you get started in the incredible work that you do?
Well, Mr. Harvey, this has been a lifelong journey when you really think about it. I've always been creative, had a creative family. I started out very early learning how to draw, become a draftsman, work in aerospace. And then along the way, I became involved in ecological issues, those types of things. So I've always had an investigative mind, a mind that wanted to solve problems. And I find the best way for me to do that is through my art.
Well, I think that's a good way to do it, because all that I've seen over the years of your art tells a story. And what I'd like for you to just do is take a little time and talk about some of those stories that are behind the work that you're inspired to produce.
Okay, this painting that you're seeing right here, right now, it's called The Visitors. And I believe that we live in a time that we should reassess, take a look at what we call our leadership, our prophets, our saviors, and look at those things that occur around us and that have occurred in the past and how they impact us today. Also, these paintings that you're going to see here, these are small works. And basically, these works were done over the past 18 months during the COVID shutdown. I just spent time doing a lot of art, more small works. The issues that have come about during this period of time, we've had a lot of racial issues that have come up. And sometimes we need to be re-informed. So I use my art also to re-inform those that should know and those that do not know. I often do scenes of riotous situations. As you see here, the word Nolda. Nolda is, yes, Nolda, if you can take it and you can understand it, it means no limp dick art. That's what it means. The word was coined while Zero and I were doing an international show in Bangalore, India, and we were critiquing the entries for the show. And it kind of got to the point where, I say Nolda. And my host says, what is Nolda? And I told him it was no limp dick art. So the art is not going to be weak. My art is not going to be weak. It's not going to hold punches back. It's going to address the issues, whether it's science, whether it's politics, whether it's day-to-day activities. I have something that I want to say about it for others to understand where I'm coming from, and maybe along the way, they themselves might change their point of view. So the work is pretty much steeped in history, is steeped in archaeology, current events, science, and each one of these paintings, research goes into each one. So they're not easy paintings, and they do consume time.
I deeply appreciate that, because I'm all about art that carries important messages of the past, but certainly messages of where we are and where we need to go. And the more hard hitting, the more attention you'll get from me. So I appreciate that. And Nolda is going to live with me, because
well, one thing, Mr. Harvey, when I do art, it's not going to be low-hanging fruit. It's not going to be the art that matches your sofa or your walls. Art for me is truth. And that's all I want to speak is, as we hear them say so often, my truth, my point of view. Because from what I see going on now, Mr. Harvey, all I can say is there is some truth that is necessary, and I feel that I have a say, and I do it through the art.
I deeply appreciate that. I really do, because, this is the third conversation I've had with artists who are committed to making certain that what they create is not created to match the furniture or the walls, like you said. There's a gallery owner in Chicago named Guichard, and he came to my house when I was still living there and did an interview with me. And that's one of the things we talked about, how art by itself needs to be able to stand on its own. The message and the strength needs to stand on its own. And we're not talking about buying a piece of art that is going to match your couch, but we're talking about a piece of art that is going to stand on its own. And I'm with you 100% on that. So
I totally agree with you.
So you're from LA originally, right?
Right. I was born and raised in Los Angeles in 1948. My parents and my wife's parents all left Birmingham, Alabama in the early 40s. So I went through all of Los Angeles School District, three older brothers, four sisters. So I've had my share of seeing urban life, and I've had my share of knowing that it wasn't really for me, you see. So, you know, people will ask me, they say, well, how did you find yourself in Grants, New Mexico? And my best explanation I can say is by design.
All right, that's it. Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Yeah. I'm very happy with this environment, and it produces a lot of great work for me.
That's good. And the work is, in fact, very. I first discovered you at the State Fair a few years ago, and you had some large, very, very powerful pieces of work on exhibit at the Hoppers Pavilion there. And all I could say is, at that time, man, I wish I could afford this work, because this is the kind of stuff that I need to be able to live with. And you know, so it's just good that I've been able to come full circle and reconnect with you. And you know, we talked about what it meant to you living up in the mountains and being able to create this work, and yet you have an international reach. Can you talk about that a little bit?
Yes. The international relationships that I've cultivated over the years have come through exhibitions. And these exhibitions that I've mainly been doing, and one I'm preparing for now, is at the Augusta Savage Gallery at the University of Massachusetts. That will be in run through March and through into April of next year. So when I do these exhibitions or these exhibitions that are moving around, sometimes I meet people that have other friends in other countries, etc. And I, as far as I'm concerned, I'm more than willing to go anywhere with my art. And that's kind of how that happened over a 3-year period of time of cultivating the connections, the on-the-ground friendships, etc., and the gallery space. Took about 3 years.
Well, it's a way to honor the incredible work you do as well. To find that you'd be in so many different places like that, and the Augustus Savage Gallery in Massachusetts, you know, is such an homage to someone who was a very close friend and mentor of mine growing up in Chicago. Yeah, before Gus went to Congress, he used to publish a newspaper on the south side of Chicago called the Chatham Citizen. And yeah, and Gus was putting out some hard-hitting truth back in the 60s with Chatham Citizen. And when he went to Congress, I said, you know, we've got a voice there now that's going to speak truth. And here you are now, you know, exhibiting in his gallery in Massachusetts. That is very, very powerful information.
Well, sometimes, you know, we don't realize the connections, and we don't see them, we don't feel them, and most of all, when we have them, we have to continue to cultivate them.
That's right. That's right.
This conversation between you and I is more than just an interview. It's more than just a conversation. It is a connection that we all link together with one another through others over time. And I'm very happy to feel that connection with you.
Oh, I'm cherishing this, and this is just the beginning. I can promise you that. I can promise you. Yeah. So we've got about a minute and a half left, And I was wondering if you wanted to talk about anything that you're working on or any projects that you're working on right now that we can expect to see or hear about in the foreseeable future.
Okay, well, the painting that I'm working on here now, this is one of 10 paintings that will be showing this coming March in 2022. This painting is about, I'd say about 6 feet by about 8 feet. It takes about anywhere from, I'd say 3 to 5 years to create a painting like this. The painting is very heavily painted, it's textured, it tells a story, it makes connections with the present, the past, and the future. And this painting has a sister painting that I'm standing on right now, but this painting is called The Shaman's Dream of the Primordial Universe. That's what this painting is about. And then the painting below, down here where I am, this painting, I really wish you were here.
I do too. Yes.
This painting is about processes of the cosmos. See, this painting here leads into this painting here.
Okay.
And they speak of the cosmos, they speak of time, physics, science, the universe. And I guess as I get older, my paintings are becoming more and more spiritual in context. So they're not getting any smaller.
It's all right. That's all right.
But one thing I do say this, and I say this to you as well as the rest: collect original art. Collect original art. Put it on a time payment. Put it on layaway. Don't let art that you love, art that you see, let it go. Don't do that. I've been fortunate enough not to need a lot of sales throughout my life, so I can do what I want to do, you see. So I'm not concerned. But collect good, original art. That's the best thing I can say. Art next to gold.
You're next to gold. I hear you. I hear you. I've been collecting for about 30, 35 years now, maybe longer.
Yeah.
And I've got about 80 original pieces hanging in my house. And
I'd love to see the work.
When you're in town, you come on by. Be glad to show you what I've got. And
Okay.
yeah, I relish that. I cherish that. I do. So
Good.
So we've been talking with Kabu, MB2, and looking at some of the most magnificent work. And you can send me that neckwear around your neck. I'd have to have that, So when you come to town, be prepared to bring it with you. But I thank you so much. Go ahead.
It's all about the craft. Thank you for this time you spent with me. I appreciate it very much. Yes, I really, really do. I don't get out much, so thanks for doing this.
Well, next time you're out, put me on your stops, and
okay, I will.
And then I can plan a trip up into the mountains up there above Grants as well, and just bask in this beautiful creativity.
Yeah. Come and I'll cook something good for you. All right. I'll treat you. All
right. That's a date. You got it. Kabu MB2. Thank
Yes.
you ever so much for being on that Saturday show. Continue the inspirational work,
Thank you.
and we will see each other soon. Thanks so
Appreciate
much.
you guys. Peace to you, brothers. Stay healthy. Stay healthy as your family as well, okay?
Peace, and the same to you and yours. Peace and blessings. Thanks again.
Do you know we've all got scars? They make us who we are. If you're still bleeding, that's not right. Stubborn man does it on his own. Strong man knows he's not alone. I'm sorry. That looks so heavy. And are you okay? It's alright if you're not. And it's true, we are not the same. But your pain is my pain. I'm sorry. That looks so heavy. I'm sorry.
Wow, the Petroglyphs. I love the Petroglyphs. That was a really good song by a band that came through at the last minute. Their name is Byland, and the song was called I'm Sorry. We're a little bit all over the place today. As you can see, Jim did his intro and his opening from his office, and now I'm in another part of the Peace Center. Interesting thing about this band, we had another musical act that was ready to go, but they canceled out, and I got on Facebook and played one of these guys' songs called Albuquerque that you'll hear at the end of the program, and made a little blurb saying if there's any local musicians out there that would like to do a song for our TV show this week, please let me know. And these people responded to me on Facebook Messenger and texted me and sent me 2 copies of their songs. So I really want to thank Allie Renee Byland. This band has come together for about 4 years. Their members include people from Albuquerque and from Seattle, and they came out with their first album last year. And what you're going to see next is a street play that we all put together back in 2005 and performed right here on this stage. And it's an example of a bunch of PAJOLA groups or different groups that are members of the Peace Center all coming together and working together. You'll see we have Paul Eichhorn of the Gray Panthers is one of the actors. Charles Kleinheim, that used to be on the board of the Peace Center, is another. Ernest Studement from the Martin Luther King Cultural Center and the Los Alamos Study Group plays Monty in this play. Bob Anderson of Stop the War Machine is the Wall Street banker, and I play the fossil fuel CEO. The play was written by Charles Powell and Sally Alice Thompson. Charles Powell plays the vet that walks through, and it was directed by the great Sally Alice Thompson. And coming up on the show, I'll be back a little bit later to do a little bit more chatting about current events. You've heard plenty from Jim. It is last Wednesday was the first day of fall. Pretty soon we'll be setting our clocks back. I know I have tons of friends and kids that I know that are excited about Halloween coming up, and hopefully this will be a great and prosperous fall for us all.
Play is titled McCutcheon and Friends. McCutcheon is a coal magnate who sued the IRS to make sure that he would be able to give any amount of money he wants to congressional or presidential candidates in order to get them to make legislation that would be to the benefit of the wealthy people. So this is the play, McCutcheon and Friends.
And you are who?
Hey, we all belong to the same club.
Monty McCutcheon.
I just paid my income taxes. I sure hate giving so much money to the damned government.
You're still paying income taxes?
Well, yes, aren't you?
Hell no. I haven't paid a cent for 15 years, and I've gotten some nice rebates, too.
How do you do it?
With good lawyers and accountants to find the loopholes that our accommodating congressmen have made, and to establish accounts in tax-free Cayman Islands.
Wow! But shouldn't we be contributing to the expense of running the country?
Yeah.
We let the April Fools do that.
Yeah, but doesn't it bother you that we're making so much money and our soldiers aren't well paid or well equipped?
Well, they choose to serve. We give them medals and ribbons and lots of promises. They're happy because the fools believe that we're doing it for them. That everyone on earth is jealous of our freedom and our way of life. We've got a good thing going. All of the turmoil in the Middle East, the April Fools give their taxes to both sides, and when we sell them armaments, we get it all. Thank you for your service, son. You're the real hero.
But don't you at least think that we should pay more for veterans' benefits and maybe even for Social Security?
Social Security, we don't need it. There's lots of money there, and it should be funneled through Wall Street so we can get our cut.
Yeah, and we need to privatize education, too. There's lots of sweet money there being wasted on overpaid teachers.
And professors.
Yeah, and professors. It's time for us to get our share of that pie.
We've got a good start in privatizing the prisons. It's great that we have so many immigrants and poor people and minorities. They're the real money for the prison industry.
I never thought of it that way. But don't we need to encourage the government to help stop climate change?
Climate change? Don't tell me you believe that propaganda. It's a liberal conspiracy to cut down our profits. Maybe there's been a slight weather change, just like there's always been, but it's a good thing if the ice cap melts. We can drill in the Arctic. Lots of profit there. We'll be able to grow our GMO foods clear up into Canada.
Yeah.
Speaking of GMOs, it's so disgusting the damn government regulators want us to be compelled to label our products. It's an invasion of our Fourth Amendment rights. Corporations are persons, you know. The Supreme Court said so. We're entitled to every provision of the Bill of Rights.
Well, you're right about that, but maybe we should encourage the government to help people with their health care costs.
We have the best health care in the world. We don't need to mess with it. The profits are rolling in. Why would we want to change? Of course we pretend we don't like Obamacare, but we know that it was written for us. With mandatory price insurance and the prohibition of drug price negotiations, we're doing great.
I see what you mean. But we do organize into corporations. Does it seem quite fair to deny the workers the right to organize?
We have to depend on the workers to get the job done. But if we allow them to organize and demand their share, there goes our profits. Healthcare, vacations, pensions, all the things that the workers demand come right out of our pockets.
We have to push back against other worker organizations. We'll call our efforts right to work and let the April Fools think we're doing it for their benefit. That way we can break the unions and stop labor organizing.
If they do organize and demand exorbitant wages, good working conditions, safety in the workplace, we'll just send their jobs overseas where people are glad to get their jobs without those high-priced benefits they cut so cruelly into our profits.
Yeah. The government has no business telling us we have to pay minimum wage. Let the April Fools pay for food stamps and Medicare for the people who do our work.
You guys are really smart to fool so many people. But what about the people you don't fool?
Back at the turn of the 20th century, we paid private police. They were called the Pinkertons. But now we have a better arrangement. Now we let the April Fools pay the police who keep them in line.
You've almost convinced me. But we're one less than 1% of the population. There's a danger if they all vote, our politicians will be defeated.
Vote. Don't worry, Monty. Our man in Chicago, Rahm Emanuel, just used the $26 million that we gave him to turn out the April Fools to vote for him. We won as usual.
We have lots of people fooled into thinking they're powerless to do anything, so they never vote. Also, we have our bought-off politicians making laws to make voting difficult, especially for the poor, the elderly, and the minorities who might vote against us. For those who do vote, we fooled them into voting against their own interest by throwing in diverse side issues like abortion, gay marriage, anything to muddy the waters. And we keep the people diverted by pitting one race or one religion against one another.
And April 2nd was the Supreme Court's decision anniversary of McCutcheon decision. Yay, McCutcheon. Now we can make our $1 million campaign contributions. And before you say anything, Monty, let me remind you that there's no law against any worker making his own $1 million contribution.
You guys are smarter than me. You sure have things all figured out. You've convinced me that profits are more important than those silly issues that the liberals are always carping about.
Mm-hmm. Welcome to the club, Monty. You deserve to wear the mink and money hat.
There's a cigar for you.
Last year it was very bad. I only made $1 million. But I'll lay off 1,000 men. I'll give myself $1 billion. I'll buy myself a congressman and a senator or two. Now we own the whole damn government. Hurrah, hurrah, we're going to win this fight. Those lazy workers think that they have rights. We'll send their jobs to Mexico or China or Taiwan. We can't 'cause we own the government. If some little country thinks its oil is its own, we'll simply start a war with it and send the workers' sons. We'll make them think they're heroes and fighting to stay free. Thanks to our media and our government. Hurrah, hurrah, we're going to win this fight. Those lazy workers think that they have rights. We'll send their jobs to Mexico or China or Taiwan. We can 'cause we own the government. We'll take our bank accounts offshore and never pay a tax. We'll leave that burden to the workers, we can just relax. Their Social Security funds we'll steal and also Medicare. We're safe 'cause we own the government. Hurrah, hurrah, we're going to win this fight. Those lazy workers think that they have rights. We'll send their jobs to Mexico or China or Taiwan. We can 'cause we own the government.
There you go.
There you go.
Boo, McCutcheon.
Boo! Down with McCutcheon.
Down with the shot. Down with the shot.
Down with the Supreme Court.
Yep, I'm back, and we have some great shows coming up for you in the future. One of the reasons that we're a little scattered and filling in with bits and pieces is we had a fantastic interview scheduled with David Barsamian of Alternative Radio, but he had to cancel at the last minute, some kind of emergency. But he has been broadcasting Alternative Radio for 35 years from Denver, Colorado. He is a world-renowned investigative reporter, and he has interviewed such luminaries and Nobel Prize winners as Daniel Ellsberg, Harold Zinn, Noam Chomsky, Anandati Roy, Chris Hedges, and he's been a PAJOLA member here probably since 2011, and we've had him down here for a number of events, for him talking and doing book signings, and for him to help us out with Move to Amend and other fundraisers here at the Peace Center. And what's going on in the Peace Center right now? Well, we've got a brand new art exhibit, and we've got our peace pole out front, as Jim probably told you, when we did the World Peace Day celebration last Sunday. And we've on Wednesday we have Health Day here. We have chair yoga. We have a therapist in for people to answer questions. We're trying to get a Tai Chi class going on here. There's rumors that we're trying to bring back the Peace Cafe that was a big hit here about 3 or 4 years ago. And on Friday, every other Friday, Maureen has her transformative or communication or open discussion, and it is open to everybody who drops in the door. Or if you want to get details, call the Peace Center. We're at 505-268-9557. If you'd like to get your local band on the TV show, or you'd like to, you or your group, discuss issues or refute whatever we say or want to get on the air, call the Peace Center and arrange to come on. We'd be more than happy to have you on. We'd be more than happy to have your band on. And what else is going on? Well, the air quality around here has been a little bad. I don't know what the status is with the fires out west, but I know they've been burning like crazy. And the governor of California has been under the gun, and he was part of a recall effort that was really known before it started. And it was a landslide against the Republican challenger. And frankly, it was a waste of taxpayers' money. What they spent something like $20 million on staging that election. What else is going on? As you probably know from following the news, there's landmark, nasty voter suppression legislation taking place in 32 to 40 different state legislatures across the country. Texas came up with their new abortion ban law. That's being followed by the Mississippi model, which is probably what the Supreme Court is going to hear. I think that's happening around around December. And that's a very important, everything's happening right now, and they're I don't know if Jim talked about this earlier, but people are spending their vacation money to come from Texas to Colorado to New Mexico, and they're overloading the facilities to have clean and legal abortions, and that's got to stop, and we've got to get motivated. We all have to get out to the polls. There's a mayoral election coming up on November 2nd. We need to vote on whether or not we want that soccer stadium. There's 5 city council seats up. Get out and vote, and definitely get out and vote in 2022 to break up the filibuster and get rid of all these log jams that Mitch McConnell and the Republicans are putting in front of us, so we can have good things, so we can make the spending cap so the country doesn't go into default. But here's another song from Byland. We want to thank him again for contributing to the show.
Everybody's got that place, that town, that patch of ground where your roots are found, where you learn to dream and ride a bike. Everybody's got that place, and for me, it's Albuquerque. It's the land down south where the Harleys roar, over the Sandias air balloons soar. I won't forget the sound of the bell on Grove, or the taste of horchata down the road. My home may have changed,
Until the next time, it's time to say goodbye. When you out here in the streets, keep it real, 505. We love everybody, we just want to let you know. Thanks for tuning in to that Saturday show.
But don't we need to encourage the government to help stop climate change?
Climate change? Don't tell me you believe that propaganda. It's a liberal conspiracy to cut down our profits. Maybe there's been a slight weather change, just like there's always been, but it's a good thing if the ice cap melts. We can drill in the Arctic. Lots of profit there. We'll be able to grow our GMO foods clear up into Canada.
Yeah.
Speaking of GMOs, it's so disgusting the damn government regulators want us to be compelled to label our products. It's an invasion of our Fourth Amendment rights. Corporations are persons, you know. The Supreme Court said so. We're entitled to every provision of the Bill of Rights.
Well, you're right about that, but maybe we should encourage the government to help people with their health care costs.
We have the best health care in the world. We don't need to mess with it. The profits are rolling in. Why would we want to change? Of course we pretend we don't like Obamacare, but we know that it was written for us. With mandatory price insurance and the prohibition of drug price negotiations, we're doing great.
I see what you mean. But we do organize into corporations. Does it seem quite fair to deny the workers the right to organize?
We have to depend on the workers to get the job done. But if we allow them to organize and demand their share, there goes our profits. Healthcare, vacations, pensions, all the things that the workers demand come right out of our pockets.
We have to push back against other worker organizations. We'll call our efforts right to work and let the April Fools think we're doing it for their benefit. That way we can break the unions and stop labor organizing.
If they do organize and demand exorbitant wages, good working conditions, safety in the workplace, we'll just send their jobs overseas where people are glad to get their jobs without those high